Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Read the fourth verse. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshvavasthitah. So the translation, this entire world is pervaded by me. Avyakta Murtina. Oh Lord, if you are there everywhere in everyone, how come we don't see you? So Lord Krishna says that I am present in everything, not as Krishna, as Vasudeva, not in his form. Because a form cannot be present in all these forms. One can be equally present in all the forms, has to be formless. You know, the gold that pervades equally in all these various ornaments, various forms, the gold has no form of its own. Gold is present in bangle, present earring, necklace, bracelet and everything. But gold by itself does not have a form. For some entity such as gold to pervade in all the forms, it must be formless. So also Lord Krishna says, I am present in everything that is here. I pervade everything. But everything always possesses a name and form and attributes. So this is unique. Every entity is unique. And the Lord, for him to pervade everything, must be totally formless, totally attributeless. So I, who transcends all the forms, all the attributes, I pervade in all the things and beings. For practical purposes, this is a very beautiful message that Ishvara, Bhagavan, is present in everybody, in everything. And therefore, the least we can do is to respect everything. Meaning that whatever there is deserves our respect. Even a little worm that is crawling on the ground also deserves our respect. All living beings deserve our respect, however they are. I know that each living being is different as far as the form is concerned. But as far as the one who dwells in every form is the same, so we may have a problem with the form. We limit ourselves to just this form. I limit myself to the form, that's all I think I am, and therefore I treat you also as that form only. Lord Krishna is I, the formless, is present in all the forms. And that is important. In this bangle, which is a form, the gold, which is formless, is present. That gold is important. That is a valuable thing. Not the shape or a form. And therefore, whatever the shape and form there is, whatever the personality is, ideally even a terrorist, a personality of anything. the person is equally present in all the personalities. Like an actor is equally present in all the roles, so also the person in this personality, in that personality, in every personality. Lord Krishna says, as a person, I am equally present. So this is personality, just a form, just a costume. Because Ishvara requires some costume to come on the stage of this world. An actor cannot come on the stage without a costume. So also, Ishvara, for him to come to the stage of the universe, has to have a costume. And thus he has put on countless different costumes because he loves variety. Unfortunately for us, the costume itself becomes the cause of the problem. Because we judge another entity simply based on the costume that he or she is, not based on the entity, the person, the real one who is present in them, the actor that is present in them. So we don't relate to others as actors that they are, as costumes that they are. And so there is conflict. One costume relating to another costume. Costumes can never be identical. Two persons or personalities can never be identical. And when there are two, there is always going to be a comparison. There is always going to be like or dislike. When someone is different from me, then it is likely I may like that or dislike. And therefore our relationship with everything is initiated by, motivated by likes and dislikes. Because we give reality to the costume, to the personality. Lord Krishna says, I am the person that is equally present in all the personalities. If we just do this, there is no problem. Our life will be completely free from all the conflicts. The conflicts are there because I as a costume take myself to be the person and then you. Therefore I relate to you. There are only differences because then there will be something that will suit this costume and not suit the costume. What suits me I like, what does not suit me I dislike, and therefore my relationship is one of likes and dislikes. The likes and dislikes can be overcome only when we focus our attention on what is common, not on what is uncommon. There are lots of things between you and me that are uncommon. But there is something that is common also. The person that you are is the person that I am. The personality is different. That is uncommon. So that simple step that we have to take in our life. It's not simple, but that is the step that we have to take. Is to slowly start giving importance to the person. More importance we give to personality, more conflicts there are going to be. Because more differences there are going to be. And when there are differences, then I like certain thing, I dislike certain thing, everything I do not equally like. Those likes and dislikes are going to be. Lord Krishna says, I am equally present in all of you. The extent to which we can reduce ourselves to the person, to that extent there will be the sameness everywhere. Machthani sarabhutani nachaham teshavasthitah. Continuing that question, then when Lord Krishna says, I am equally present in all of them, O Lord, does it mean that when people are happy that you are happy? When person is unhappy, you are unhappy? Because you say that you are equally present in all the beings, that means that you must be constantly happy, unhappy, undergoing change, birth and death. You are a Mahasamsari. So Lord Krishna says, Matsthani sarabhuta, in the second line, Nachaham teshavastitaha. They're all in me, I am not in them, meaning that, hey Arjuna, understand that this is personality, it's like the costume, it doesn't affect me. Masthani, this costume, this personality, this being is in me, I am not in them, meaning that it depends upon me, I don't depend upon that. I don't become big because the personality is big. I don't become small because this is small. I don't become beautiful because that is beautiful. I don't become ugly because that is ugly. All this beautiful, ugly, etc., all our personal, subjective ideas anyway. So Lord Krishna is teaching how to live in the real world. We are living in our private world. The private world of taking myself to be this person, taking you also, and all differences become important. And therefore there are certain things I like, others I dislike. So all my relations are based on likes and dislikes only. So Lord Krishna says, I, who is formless, is equally present in all the forms, of which what is important? The formless is important, not the one with form, one that has a form. That which is form, that is this personality, is because of that person. That is important. So that is one first introduction of Ishvara is to recognize that he is equally present in everything. Second, to recognize that by being present, it doesn't become influenced by those things. That is present, in a saint, present in also a sinner. He does not become a saint or a sinner. That's a beautiful thing. The saint and the sinner is an example. It belongs to the personality, the costume. Matsthani sarabhutani nachaham teshavastita. By putting on a certain costume of a saint, not that I become saint, or of a sinner, not that I become sinner, I transcend both the saint and sinner. Meaning that I am not opposed to anything. I accommodate everything. I am equally present in all. Samoham sarvabhuteshu namedveshyosti na priya. Lord Krishna says, all beings are same to me. I have no partiality, I don't have any cruelty anywhere. So Lord, who is present in all of us, is impartially there in everybody, in everything. And lead the verse number 5. न च मत्स्थानि भूतानि पश्य मे योगमैश्वरम् भूतभृन्न च भूतस्थः ममात्मा भूतभावनः. The second line of fourth verse said, Matsthani sarabhutani, all beings are in me, I am not in them. The first line of the fifth verse says, Nacha matsthani bhutani, they are not in me also. First he says, they are in me, I am not in them. Then he says, they are not in me also. But you just said that, matsthani, they are all in me. Right? He says, Nacha matsthani, they are not in me. They are in me, meaning that they are because of me. They exist because of me. I give them the satta and the sphurti. They exist because of me. They shine because of me. I provide them the dynamics and that. Nachamasthani bhutani, but not that they are in me. this is how the principle of transcendence is explained. This in and out is not to be taken in the physical sense. The space can say that I am in the pot, isn't it so? The space can say, I am in the pot, is it not so? So what is inside the space is called pot space. The space says, I am not in the pot is in me. Since we think that the space is within the pot. Second statement, space says, I am not in the pot is in me. Would that be right? If you look at it from the standpoint of pot, then the space looks like within the pot. Shift our focus to space, then we realize that it is not the space that is within the pot is in the space. But is the space within pot? Is pot within space? He says, no, they are not within me also. Because this space transcends the pot. There is no connection or contact that the space has with the pot. Therefore, this idea of within and without are only with reference to pot. Once you shift your focus to space, there is no within and without. As far as the boundaries of pot are concerned, there is something within confined to the pot and outside the pot. But when you shift our attention to space, you can't say that space is within pot. You can say pot is within space. But within space is what? If pot is within space and pot moves, something should happen to space, should shake, is it not so? Pot moves like that, if this pot is within the space, space must be all disturbed. No, space is not within the pot is not within the space transcends the pot. You follow? So Lord says, transcend. I'm there as though within everything, but ultimately I transcend, meaning that I am not limited by them. If the space is within the pot, then the poor space would be limited. Then there will be a problem with these two pot spaces. This pot and the space within that, pot and space within that. This fellow comes in contact with this and right away has a complex, I am so small, I am so limited, I am no good. This fellow has a complex, I am so big. All these are based on believing that the space is within the pot, which is not the case. There is no pot space. Although we always give example of pot space, as though space is confined in the pot. There is no such entity as the pot space really. So space says, all pots are in me. I pervade all the pots. I am within the pot, but not within the pot. I am within the pot, but pot is within me. Or I am free from the idea of within and without. The space itself is no within and no without. Similarly also, Lord Krishna says consciousness is no within, no without. I impart satta and full away everything, but then there is no contact that space has with pot, no contact that consciousness has with this. Nacha machthani bhutani, and therefore things are not in me also. Pashyame yogam aishwaram, look at my aishwaram yoga, look at my divine yoga, that I look like I am within everything and everything is with me, but then nothing is within and without. Swami, so what do we do with this? He is within us and then not within us and we are within him. And first is he is within everybody. Therefore respect everybody. that what is in, as Kabirji says, that he is in all the being. Ghata ghata mein wo sai ramata katuka vachan mat bol. Kabir says, Ghata ghata mein wo sai ramata. In all parts, meaning all the hearts, that dwell, the sai means Swami. Ishvara, the Lord, dwells in hearts of all. Katuka vachana mat bol. Therefore, do not use a bitter word. Don't insult anybody because you are insulting the Lord. No, Swami, he is a sinner. He is an untouchable. No. God doesn't become untouchable. So this famous encounter that great Shankaracharya had with an untouchable called a Chandala, which is the fourth, fifth, I don't know, in the social order it is the lowest. He said that once upon a time in the morning, the great Shankaracharya along with his disciples, having taken a dip in the Ganges, in the Kashi. Every day this was a routine, take dip in the Ganges, fill up the Ganges water in his kamandalu, walk to the temple of Lord Shiva, Vishveshwara, pour the water on the linga. This was the routine. And this was done. He would take this dip very early in morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning. Sun is not, dawn is not yet. There's hardly any light there. So you can't see clearly. So one morning, having taken dip in the Ganges, the Acharya is returning along with his disciples. Now this Kashi has very narrow lanes. And all of a sudden, Acharya found that there was a huge person blocking that street, narrow street. And he realized, hey, this was a sweeper. He just had taken dip in the Ganges. So, he would not touch sweeper. This is old samskaras. And therefore, Gatcha, move away. Yes, by the old samskaras, this happened, I think Acharya was not quite, alert. And so old Brahmin samskaras said, Gatcha, move away. And that sweeper confronted him. Sir, I know, Dvijavara, you are the most exalted among the Brahmins. Duri katum vanchase kim? What it is that you want to go away from you? Annamayat athva chaitanyameva chaitanyat. Do you want that this Annamaya, meaning this lump of flesh, that is this Chandala, untouchable? Another lump of flesh, that is the Acharya. When you say, go away, move away, I would certainly follow your command. I just want a little clarification. What do you want? Move away from what? Do you want this lump of flesh moving away from that lump of flesh? Chaitanya deva chaitanyam, or you want this consciousness that I am, move away from that consciousness that you are. I think he must have come back down to earth, Shankaracharya. And realize that he is confronting not some ordinary, sweeper or somebody. Recognize he is none other than Lord Shiva. He fell at his feet. And that sweeper further clarified his position. King Gangamuni Bimbitaim Baramanau Chandala Vati Paya Pure Vantanamasti Kanchana Ghati Mritkumbayor Vambare. Sir, do you see the difference between the sun reflected in the gutters of the habitation from where I am coming? He is a Chandala. And so stinking water is flowing in those gutters. And you are coming with the holy Ganges, sun reflected in that stinking water, and sun reflected in this holy Ganges. Does the sun become different? Does the reflection get affected by that? Does reflection become impure because of being reflected in impure water? Does it become pure because of being reflected in the pure water? Holy water? Or the space which is there in a pot which is without any worthless pot, and the space which is there in a golden pot, does space become more precious because in a golden pot and becomes worthless because in a worthless pot? This is pure Vedanta, When thus the Acharya was confronted, he came down to the earth. And so he is blamed for being all this casteist and stuff like that, but what he is right away recognized, and he fell at the feet of this sweeper. Now that shows the humility. That I am well known, recognized, Brahmana, teacher of teachers, Acharya, and this fellow is a sweeper. When he recognized the greatness of that one, he had no hesitation at all in falling at his feet. So what do you see in the person? Do you see me as a lump of flesh? Or do you see me as a consciousness? Similarly also, Lord Krishna is telling us that He is present in everything and every being, things and beings. That means divinity is present in all. Ishvara can be called divine, beautiful, complete. In a worm also is equally present. So Lord Krishna is drawing our attention to respect everything. Respect the very existence, wherever it is. The form does not matter. The existence that manifests through that form is what matters. The asti, bhati, priyam that manifests. Nachamasthani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram. Here Arjuna, I do not, just because I am present in everyone, doesn't mean that I am affected by them. I know that where I am present in all the costumes, they are constantly changing. I who am there doesn't change. The costume undergoes process of birth and growth and death. I don't. The space may say that, part breaks. I do not break. Nachamachthani bhutani pashyame yogamaishwaram. Even they are not in me also. The space says that ultimately part is not in me also. I transcend the idea of part space and part. Pashyame yogamaishwaram. Look at my divine yoga as to how I am everywhere and still not anywhere. I am everywhere and still not affected by anything. I transcend everything. It's called transcendence. That space is within the part, you can say, but not affected by anything, because space transcends the idea of part. Not confined. It looks like confined to the part. It is not. There is no contact with the space and the part. There is no, nothing has tied the space to the part. There is no contact. So Bhashyakara says, Asangoyam Purusha, this Purusha, the Paramatma, the consciousness, is Asanga, is unconnected. He is there, but then unconnected, unrelated, unaffected by anything. It is difficult to do vyavahara this way, but in meditation we can do that. Take the case of a person whom I dislike. That will be a good example. I dislike that person. Ask, what do I dislike? There's a person and a personality. Is the personality I dislike or the person I dislike? Is personality important? The person is important. Personality is changing, comes and goes, the person is ever there. So this teaching can be put into practice in this manner. Although technically this is a very high quality Vedanta, but we are trying to understand the practical implications of this. Bhutavrut nacha bhutastha mamatma bhutabhavanaha bhutavrut bhutani vivarti. I sustain all the beings. You sustain everything. The space that I sustain all the pots and pans, does it mean that you are within the pot? Nacha bhutastha. I am not within the pot. Mama atma bhuta bhavanaha. I am the one that has created the pot, but I am not within the pot. So Lord Krishna says, I am the creator of everything. And I sustain everything without being within anything. I sustain everything. But don't think that I am within that. How can you sustain this body without being the body? I sustain the universe without being within the universe. I do not require to be within. Everything gets sustained simply by my presence. In the next verse, Lord Krishna gives an example to explain this. Yatha kāshasthito nityam vāyus sarvatra gaumahan tatha sarvāni bhūtāni matsthāni ityupadhāraya. Very beautiful example Lord Krishna gives here. The relationship between the space and the air. You see, air and sustains everything, including space also. The space, the air, vati iti vayu, that which constantly moves or flows is called vayu or air. So air is constantly in motion. And sarvatraga, vayu is everywhere. Mahan, which is, very great, all pervasive vayu, that is everywhere, the air is everywhere. But air is what? In the space. So just as space sustains the air. So do you find that air is sitting on the space? How does space support the air? How does space sustain the air? In fact, there is no contact between the space and the air. That is why the space can move freely without any restriction. Air can move without restriction or freely within the space. So even though the air is within the space, and still there is no contact between the air and the space, so you can say that the space sustains the air, the space supports the air without any association, without any contact, without any relation with the air. An example. Usually when you say that something sustains, like the flower is on the table is sustains the flower. Table is called adhara, the support. Flower is called adhaya, supported. The relation between the table and the flower is one of adhara, adhaya, support, and that's supported. Lord Krishna says, I sustain everything. Does it mean that you sustain everything like the table sustains this flower? Then if the table, no. There is no contact between myself and the universe. I sustain without having any contact. Like the space, example, space sustains air. There is no contact between the air and the space, and still the air moves within the space. Yatha akashasthito nityam vayu sarvatra go mahan. Just as vayu is the space that moves everywhere in the space, and it is in space but not connected to space. Space sustains air without connecting with the air, without any contact with the air. Meaning, this is just an example how one can sustain without the contact. That's the idea. Usually when we think of sustaining, we say that this table sustains or supports the flower. The chair supports me, the ground supports the platform supports the chair, etc. So we always think adhara and adhaya, one above the other, one sustaining the other. In order to help us become free from that idea that only when things are upon each other, contact, that alone can supporting, sustaining and take place, Lord Krishna says how this space supports the air without any contact. So also I sustain the whole universe without any contact with that. Therefore, if air becomes polluted, space does not become polluted. Air becomes dusty, space does not become dusty. Similarly also, what happens to the creation I sustain, nothing touches me, nothing happens to me. So in these verses, Lord Krishna described him, Ishvara is described. First is that I pervade all the beings, things and beings, I'm equally present in all of them. Then the question was, if you are present in everyone, then whatever changes happen in this one, there is growth and birth and death here, does it mean that you undergo that change? No. Then how do you sustain? Without any contact with this, just as the space sustains air, so also I sustain everything without any contact, which means that all the changes happening in this personality, that I'm not affected by them. So this idea of within and without we have to understand. Atma is within this, we say. When I point out myself, I point out like this, which is quite all right. As though the I, the self is within, and that self is within, and that self is within. But then, there is no within. The space says, I'm within the part. There is no within and without as far as space is concerned. And so also, no within and without as far as Atma is concerned. But Swamiji, this Atma is in here. And Atma departs when something happens to his body. Is it not so? What is in here is not Atma. Because but Swami, although we say that, the departed soul and stuff like that, the Atma departs and goes to another embodiment. Atma doesn't depart. The part may break, the space doesn't depart or anything. And so, just to clarify, what it is that we mean by the word Atma. If you mean Satchidananda Atma, there is nowhere to go, it doesn't come, doesn't go. It always is. But then Swamiji, when death happens, something departs from here. Hasn't the Atma departed? Not Atma departed. The subtle body has departed from this gross body to elsewhere. So what keeps this body alive is not just Atma. Atma functioning the subtle body is what keeps this body alive. When subtle body departs, then this body becomes lifeless. We explained this. Atma is still there. Swamiji, Atma does not depart. It is there in dead body also? Yes. Wow. How is Atma? Asti bhati priya. As very existence it is there. It has nowhere to go, doesn't have to go. What departs is what we call the Sukshma Shariram, subtle body or Jivatma departs from here to there. And that's what we call death, which is quite all right as far as our day-to-day life is concerned. But there is no departure of Atma or consciousness. So just as the space sustains air and air moves within the space, goes everywhere, pervades everything, space sustains without contact with this air, and so Lord Krishna says, I sustain everything without any contact. Not that I am supporting this without any contact, meaning that I am not affected by what I am sustaining. Now there is, as far as the creation is concerned, there is Utpatti, Sthiti and Laya. Utpatti means creation. Sthiti means continuation or sustenance. Laya means dissolution. Utpatti, Sthiti and Laya. Our example is very simple. This pot has emerged from clay, that's called Utpatti. The pot is sustained by the clay, that is called sustenance. And when this pot breaks into pieces and then ultimately goes back into clay, the pot has emerged from clay, is sustained by clay, merges back into clay. Vedanta will say that clay is the upadana karanam or the material cause of the pot. So when Lord Krishna says, I pervade everything, it is similar to the clay saying that I pervade all the pots and pans, meaning I am the material that makes all the pots and pans. Bhagavan also says, I make the material. So what are we made up of? Swami, flesh and blood, 5 elements, and then what? Lord Krishna says, we are all made up of consciousness. Would you believe that? It is consciousness that has taken this tangible form of what we call the matter. Is it not so that the physicists tell us that it is energy that takes the tangible form of matter? The matter is said to be the wave of energy. Energy is comparable to Prakriti, or what we call the primordial matter. That is as far as science can go. Because that is only up to that point is, even by inference also you can only, you can establish the existence of Prakriti or primordial matter. But Vedanta says Prakriti is not the ultimate reality. Matter is not the ultimate reality. Consciousness is the ultimate reality. consciousness manifests as matter. So, science tells us that energy manifests as matter. Matter is the waves of energy. Vedanta goes a step further, that energy of Prakriti also is manifestation of consciousness. Meaning that the most fundamental principle is consciousness, which first manifests as energy or Prakriti, which in turn manifests as matter. Consciousness manifesting as energy, which we call Prakriti, which in turn manifests as matter, which is a tangible matter. So, if you really inquire into what this is, the manner in which a scientist inquires is that his tools of inquiry leads him to conclusion that this is the primordial matter, whether it is God particle, what particle. Vedanta says no, even matter also is manifestation of consciousness. Now consciousness you cannot demonstrate, you cannot measure, and what cannot be demonstrated, can't be measured, cannot be accepted in science. They don't accept this consciousness business. They think consciousness is property of matter. They think consciousness is created in the brain, What is created is sentiency, not consciousness. And so, Lord Krishna says, I am the fundamental principle which we call consciousness, asti bhati priyam, which is the satyam jnanam ananda, which is happiness, wholeness, fullness. The word consciousness is a very, the word that does not create any feeling in me, consciousness. Doesn't do anything to me, it may do something to you. If you say wholeness, ananda, happiness, love, then perhaps it would touch me. So what we call consciousness is the same as wholeness, completeness, limitlessness, the same as ananda, is same as ananda. It's same as fullness, same as wholeness, same as completeness, same as freedom. So what is basically freedom? What is basically limitless? What is basically ananda? What is self-sufficient alone manifests as this universe. Now how does it happen? So Lord Krishna described creation, sustenance, dissolution. Matsani sarabhutani, Lord Krishna said that at the time of sustenance, recognize that all of this is sustained by me, the consciousness. Because you can see every name and form is sustained by asti bhati priyam. This is what is asti. What shines in my consciousness, bhati. What is dear, at least to pot anyway. So priyam. Asti bhati. This is new, by the way. When the pot is priyam, then they always struggle. Pot, I don't love pot, Swami. But pot loves itself. You follow? Understand this new thing. Asti priyam means the pot loves to be. Pot loves itself. Everything loves itself. I don't have to love them. Everything loves itself. Everything is. Everything shines, everything loves itself. How can pot love itself? In case pot could love. Just as pot is, pot shines, also pot loves it because it loves to be. It loves to exist. It loves to show itself. It loves to show that I am pot. Anyway, so asti bhati priyam is a fundamental truth called consciousness. And everything is sustained by consciousness, asti bhati priyam. The Lord Krishna says that I am everything. Now you can be everything only when clay says that I am all these pots and pans, then clay has to prove that all parts and pans have emerged from me, they're all sustained by me, they all merge back into me. Then alone we can accept that everything is clay. So also, if Lord Krishna establishes that everything is emerged from me, sustained by me, merges back in me, then I am everything. So earlier verses said, Matsthani sarvabhutani, all things exist in me, meaning I sustain, I am there in sustenance. But then who is there in creation? And so, the verse 7 says, Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punasthani kalpada visrajamyaham. So Lord Krishna says, how everything merges into me. Into consciousness. He kaunteya sarvabhutani mamikam prakritim yanti. All the beings, at the time of dissolution, they all merge into my prakriti, that is my matter principle. Kalpakshay. Kalpakshay means when the kalpa or the cycle of creation comes to an end, our idea is that the whole universe is created, emerges, sustains for a length of time called kalpa. How long does the universe sustain? Called kalpa. How long is kalpa? I don't know. But then it will become trillions of years. I tried to calculate once. Several trillion years this kalpa will be, so long it will be sustained. But a day will come and it will fold up. Right now they say this is a expanding universe. The universe will keep on expanding until it runs out of steam. Someday, when expanding, it expands energy. When it will run out of steam, then what? It will slowly contract. And again come back to the original stage, which will take a long time, but it will happen. Expanding universe, expanding thing has to have a certain boundary how long it can expand. And once it runs out of steam, it will again contract and come back to its original state, again expand and contract. Or create, sustain, dissolve. Here Arjuna, when the time of dissolution comes, all the beings, the whole universe, returns to the original, from where they all emerge, they all return to that. So when they all return, all the pots and pans and all kinds of variety of things having all names and forms and use, when they return, they become indistinguishable. When the pot returns to clay, and this one also returns to clay, and the pitcher also returns to clay, they become all indistinguishable. They give up all the distinctions of names and forms and return to their original prakriti or the matter or the original nature. So sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam. Hey kaunteya, hey Arjuna, sarvabhutani, all the beings, mamikam prakritim yanti kalpakshaye. At the end of the kalpa, or the cycle of creation, all the beings merge into my prakriti. Sometimes the Puranas describe this, as to what happens at the time of this laya, how things are, they sometimes describe what amount of destruction is going to go on. As there is a lot of destruction, Rudra, and destroys the whole world. Way of saying it, you don't require somebody to destroy. It is destruction is built into the creation. The contraction is built into the expansion, it will contract. Then kalpado visrujamiyam, again I bring them into being at the beginning of next cycle of creation. When the cycle of creation concludes, they all merge back into their original nature. When next cycle comes, they again emerge from there. Thus Lord Krishna says how the universe is all cyclic universe, emerging, sustaining, merging, emerging, sustaining, merging. Why does Lord describe this? If you look at this whole picture, just as astronauts went to space, when they saw the earth as a ball, then where is United States? Where is Russia? Where is China? Where is India? What are we fighting for? They are all indistinguishable from there. When we hear a distinction becomes so important to us, but when we look at from far away point of view, there are no distinctions. It's one earth that belongs to everybody. It's so beautiful. And I realized from space how beautiful this globe was. That picture recently came. It was a first astronaut. What was he? Armstrong? Neil Armstrong. Took a picture of Earth at that time. I think Neil Armstrong passed away. So on that day, New York Times had published a picture that Neil Armstrong took of the Earth from the space. It was like a moon, but he did not see the whole Earth, part of it. That is what, we see the moon on the Ekadashi or something, that's how the Earth appeared. It's the globe. And here we are, fighting for every inch of things. So Lord Krishna says, when you look at the whole global picture, everybody emerges, everybody is sustained, everybody emerges back. Look at the total picture. Then all the little differences we are fighting for were all insignificant. When this little thing becomes important, everything is significant. Look at the whole picture, everything becomes insignificant. So we can resolve all our sorrow in life. As long as this is the only important thing in the world, there is nothing but sorrow. Nobody can become free from sorrow as long as this alone is important. No way. Regardless of what we become, this becomes expanded, contracted, fair, sadar, whatever happens to this. Becomes famous, doesn't matter what happens. One cannot become free from sorrow as long as this is my world. Only when I look at the global picture, then my heart expands, then that's the only way to become free from sorrow. Not by changing this thing. Making it wealthier, making it this, making more fun, all stuff we keep on, nothing will happen. I will still remain limited and divided and confined and excluded. Sarvabhutani Kaunteya, hey Kaunteya, look at the whole global picture. All the beings merge into my Prakriti at the time of dissolution. Kalpado Visrujamyam, when the time comes for the kalpa or the next cycle, they again emerge from that. They merge and emerge. Look at the total picture. Then what is this business of mine and yours? All the distinctions go away. So this Lord Krishna is describing himself, what his nature is, how infinite he is, and Vedanta teaches that what he is what we are actually. Therefore, I'm not an insignificant creature confined to his body. The limitless functioning through this limited personality. Kalpakshe punastani kalpada visvajamyam. So this Lord Krishna gives us a global picture for us to have a little bit of idea of the total life. We are so much engrossed in our little thing. That's all that they think of and that's all that matters to us. And that our boundary is so narrow that then when we can stand apart, then we can see, what is the real boundary. That's what Lord Krishna is teaching here. And that's how we can meditate. It's difficult to live life, because we are in too much of pressure. But while sitting on meditation, you can take up these verses And see that picture that Lord Krishna gives in these verses here. Oh. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Shuddhatmaji, that is, yeah.
Pranam Swamiji, good afternoon. Few upcoming events. Note down your calendar. June 19th will be Pradosha Puja. July 3rd to 6th, Independence Day Family Vedanta Camp with Swami Viditatmananda and Swami Parapadnyanji. And next weekend class will be on 7th of July. After that, we have July 10th through 24th, 2-week Bhashyam course with Swamiji on Brihadaranyaka and Ishavasya Upanishad, Swami Viditatmananda and Swami Muktatmananda. These are two important events in July. And rest of the events you can always refer to our 2024 program booklet. Outreach programs are developing very well with Swami Parapadnyanji. June 19th through 24th, public talks and satsangs in Toronto, Canada. And June 28th through 30th, public talks. The topic is the essence of the Ishavasya Upanishad. June 28th through 30th, venue is HTCS Bharati Vidyala, that is our Balaji Temple, New Jersey. So I thought I would share with this one, all of you. And we are looking for adult counselors for our children camp to stay here for a week and take care of children and help us. So if you are interested to do this service, please contact Vimala and give your name. That will be from July 27th to August 2nd and August 3rd to August 10th. These two camps, we certainly need some adult counselors to help us in our children camp. Thank you all and wish you a happy Father's Day. Namaste.